Good afternoon, Quasar Markets Live. I have a really good one, and welcome on President's Day, Stephen Guilfoile, CEO of Affordacare Insurance. How are you, Stephen?
Dude, I didn't even know it was President's Day today. Thanks for reminding me. I'm doing awesome.
I think everybody's president today. I think some of us that are CEOs and presidents feel like we should have President's Day too. I love that. All right, let's get to it. Insurance is literally on everybody's mind all the time, and sometimes not when it's on their mind about times are tough or they need insurance, right? But tell me a little bit about Affordacare Insurance, and before you do that, tell me something about your background and how you got started in all this.
Yeah, just what everybody wants to hear on a Monday morning, right? Talk about insurance. But I think a big part of it is, again, it is important. It's what people have to deal with every single day. And so why don't you make it fun and make it a relatable thing? And so, again, I started not what I intended to do. I wanted to either be a astronaut or sell cars or something growing up. And so my very first job when I grew up was door to door selling insurance to farmers and ranchers in rural parts of America. And when I did that, the best thing about that was not only just the work ethic, hearing yes and no, but it was realizing that people have a bigger problem. And it was realizing that the people in America, their biggest expense, especially for businesses, is not their house payment, their car payment. In many cases, it's their actually health insurance, and especially for businesses too. And so if you can solve that problem, you could solve anything, you could create value. And I think the best thing to look at this is anytime that you're looking at like, what am I going to get into and how can I make an influence in the world? The best way to make money, I guess, is based on the number of lives that you help multiplied by the value that you add to them. And I think which you'll get into what we do is what we really have a profound impact in terms of people's lives and businesses. So that's a big part, I guess, kind of where we started from and where we are now.
Yeah, I love that. And making a change in people's lives is always important, and especially when it comes to insurance, because we don't always think of insurance as something we need until we need it, right? And so, tell us a little about what insurance that you guys have, and where you guys are going here.
Yeah, it's a great question. And again, Steve, again, just for being such a good name too. Again, our parents must have really loved us, without that PH. So the best thing I guess about what we really do is we have a ability that every single business owner in America, 100% of the time, we have a way to help them. And we help them without them needing to change the current benefits, the current plan, change their broker, interfere with the relationship they have. So nothing changes in terms of what they already do. We are just able to enhance it in a way that they've probably never seen before. And we can get in a little bit more of kind of how that goes in more specifics kind of later on in the call too.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to me, Steve, that when nobody cares about insurance until they really need it. And over the last 10 years, we've had some really big question marks around that with ACA and removing ACA and the premiums. And tell us a little bit about what's really going on. What's the back end here and how you can fix some of those problems.
Yeah. So this is probably one of the most commonly asked questions. And again, it's a great one. And I think we just got to look like, where does the money come, right? Follow the money. And so most of what we do is employer major medical group coverage right now at this point. But the idea is that an employee could either go on a ACA marketplace plan, and with that, right, they're grouped with a ton of people. But the idea behind it is that it's guaranteed issue, so there's no health questions. And so what we typically see is a lot of the people that are either able to get a subsidy and or they have major health conditions, they're flooding onto these exchanges. And so now it's almost all the unhealthy people that are in this huge bucket. And that's why this become so unaffordable, and people that don't get a subsidy are kind of throwing their hands up, right? So a lot of times now they're going to the employer and saying, hey, can you help me? And in the same sense as well, employer groups or employer major medical carriers are looking at this as the same way. There is no health questions. They're taking on an enormous amount of risk about very unhealthy people. And that's what's causing these rates to go up. And so what we've really done is we just changed not the benefits they actually have, but we've changed how they use them and ways to offload these claims. And so by empowering the employer to have a financial vested interest in the success of their group, there's a lot of things that you can do. It's a profound result of what it ends up being. But that's the concept of just, I think, first realizing that this insurance just isn't free. somebody's paying for it. And a really good example would be, let's say you have a group of 10 people in your company and one person gets pregnant. Of course, it's going to cover it and everything's going to be fine. But realizing for that group of 10 people, now the business owner probably took on a $10,000 increase of their annual renewal next year because there's an influx of high claims. And now everyone's paying about an extra $50 to $100 a month across that group. And that's just the nature of what the insurance is. That's why you're seeing these renewals go 10, 20% for a lot of these companies across America.
Yeah, and you when you think about it from a perspective of companies themselves, it seems like the bigger companies excitingly actually add health insurance to the employer and put as much as they can to keep them healthy, right? To keep them working and keep them safe and sound.
Yeah.
But as we get older, and as we see technology, are you seeing changes in premiums based on anything in the technology world, whether it's AI, whether it's people getting better drugs, but better healthcare, or is the healthcare industry falling apart here, as some people are starting to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both, but I think what we're able to do is we can really contain it and control it into the group itself. And so one of the things that we've really helped kind of pioneer, we're one of the largest brokers for what's called a level funded or a partially self-funded plan. And so the best way to look at that is most groups in America have what's called a fully insured major medical plan. And it's what people are used to, right? You pay in premiums and they pay out claims. What they don't tell you is that if they have more money than they collected in premiums, that's why you see them making billions and trillions of dollars with that. And so what we do is we still insure their company, but what we do is we're going to take a portion of that total premium and we're going to allow the business to, we'll call it self-fund that, where it's a claim bucket that they actually own. It's a plan asset that they can actually show on their balance sheet. And by doing that, if there is a scenario where the claims aren't equal or exceeding the total premium they paid in, then they actually get a refund. They get their own money back at the end of the year. And if the claims are worse, then that's what the stop loss is for. That's what they bought insurance for to begin with. And they're not out any money at all. And so it's the best of all worlds. And it's a big part of what we're trying to do with these groups is empower them to have the same financially vested outcome that the insurance company does. And when you do that, there's smarter ways that you can set the plan up, and the employees have more of a buy-in too. And again, we'll talk more about that. But that's, I think, one of the biggest secrets of being able to empower all parties to have the same united outcome that we are looking for.
I love this. I love that a lot. Okay. So when you look at premiums over time, have you seen premiums go up or down in the last decade compared to, say, the past, compared to the GDP or compared to, people's incomes? Are the premiums going down, or is it really getting bad out there?
It really depends on the group, I guess, right? I'd say if you were to just take a poll, I think most people say, yeah, it's probably, and again, we see a lot of groups that year over year, a 10 to 20% increase each year is not uncommon. And that's crazy because there's nothing in your business. Most businesses aren't growing that much. And so you have this almost looming ongoing expense that is really, really scary. So I get that part. The other part, though, is, again, realizing what we talked about earlier. It comes down to them literally realizing why their premiums are going up. And if you can control these costs at the point of it, so you asked kind of about, different over time and technology, like some of these drugs are like really, really expensive. And so somebody's got to pay for that. And that's one of the biggest driving forces with that too. There's a lot of other networks and ways to reduce care that we can empower the employee to kind of look at other places to get care. So like one example would be like if you have a knee replacement, right? And you go to one place and it's $60,000, another place is $20,000, another place is $200,000. When you empower the employee to say, let me look and kind of seek care as they would if I'm getting an oil change or getting something done with my car, you're going and you're actually looking at a consumer part of it. And I think that what's missed with insurance is I just say, hey, it's free. Who cares? Whatever it is. And at the end of the day, the business is paying for that. The consumer is ultimately paying for it. The employee's paying for it, in the reason that you see there's increased renewals every year. So it really depends on the group. And most of our groups are far, far less than that. And some groups are actually a negative renewal, which means they get not only money back, but their
Mm.
plan actually goes the other way and actually is cheaper each year.
Yeah, and of course, the pushback I've seen a lot over the last at least month or two has been my weight loss drugs, man. What's going on with that? Talk to me, Stephen. Why are these companies pushing back on my weight loss drugs?
Well, it's because I think probably 50% of the country, I don't think they really need them. And I think the other half of them, it's because when you look at this, and let's say you're the insurance company in this scenario, and I come in, you're taking on a $10,000 a year expense for one prescribed drug for one person, right?
Yeah.
Take that over again, a 10-person company, and let's say half the people have it. That's a $50,000 deal that now somebody's needing to pay for. And I know I kind of keep bringing it back to this, but realizing that money isn't free. It's not just like, I know we're used to, right? Just print money, everything's fine, go into more debt. But like when it comes to insurance isn't made to lose money. And so you're gonna have a reaction when you change something. And that's a really, really big point of that too, Steve, of that the other weight loss drugs like that.
Yeah, and one of the things you also sell is life insurance too. And everybody tells me I gotta have life insurance. Do I need life insurance?
Maybe. It really depends if you want it or not. And I think it just kind of comes down to that when you think about how inexpensive it is, right? Maybe it's $100 a month and you're getting, $500,000 in coverage. Do you realize how long you need to have that for? Like it's one of the greatest ROIs of anything you could have. Like you would need to have that sometimes for 30, 40, 50 years to even break even. And it's just kind of like you said at the beginning, it's kind of a safe than sorry. If you're never going to die, then I'd say no. If you plan on doing it and you have anybody that, relies on you, then I'd say it's probably a good thing to consider it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna add your website here so I can see it here. Make sure that everybody goes to this website, get a chance to check it out. Pull it up here. It's affordacareinsurance.com, and I love the fireworks. That's great at the back end there. I get it. And this is comprehensive coverage solutions for employers and employees. So you have big plans, so the companies can come in and actually add insurance to their people. Is that correct?
Yeah. So if you scroll down a little bit, again, you'll see that we've been doing this for 15 years. We've done, again, across all clients, across all deals, millions of lives, billions of dollars collectively saved. And again, like locations in every single state and the ability to do everything you could ever imagine. So I think in this aspect of it too, it's if you're going to kind of look at maybe the best way that we can add the most value, one, it's just realizing that your health insurance right now is going to be changing every single year. The way that you can combat that, again, is kind of what we talked about earlier, where you're having the ability to help an employer manage their expenses and realizing there is a better way than having this 20% renewal each year. And if I'm going to maybe explain it maybe in one specific way, your current health insurance right now on a group major medical plan is the worst case scenario. It's equivalent to a guaranteed issue life insurance where there's no health questions asked. There's nothing that's being offloaded at that point. And it's just the price is the price. And so all we're simply doing is we're having the ability to make it only better and not worse, and having you have some financial benefit of actually groups coming back at the end of the year versus or money versus the other way around.
God, I love the fact you've got all kinds of plans here. How many plans do you actually have? It's like you got quite a few here.
There's really just two is what I would focus on. There's a lot of ones on there and they do different things, but end of the day, it's if you can help their group major medical perform better, that's one of the biggest expenses they have after payroll for a company. And then the only other really plan that I think really enhances that, which again, everything else is kind of secondary because of course you're going to have dental and vision, everything else. But again, that's not unique. It's not difficult. It's not something that like, if we're going to help you, we want to help you in a way that's valuable that you can't get anywhere else. And so the other part of the plan that we have is this product called Champion Health. And what that does is it helps that major medical plan not only offload a lot of claims. And so again, it helps their overall renewal. Think of this as a second card that they have in their wallet. And anytime they go into an urgent care, primary care, mental health visit, fill a prescription, even care for their dogs and cats and pets and hamsters and gerbils, their lab testing, their annual physicals. All those things are free, and Champion Health takes all that on. And so by doing this, it not only offloads a tremendous amount of claims, which massively helps the renewal, but they also, by anytime you add new benefits and you add pre-tax deductions, it's going to also save the employer and the employee a lot of FICA tax and payroll, right? So when an employee sees their check and they maybe made $3,000 that week or that month, and they see a bunch of money come off in taxes, we're helping them keep more of their money on their paycheck, because if they're going to buy insurance one way or another, it's allowing them to keep more of that money because they're paying less in taxes.
And I am looking at this right now. I'm going to put this link up here for everybody.
Yeah.
Click on this link right now, guys. Seriously, do this right now. Affordacare Insurance. Get a quote now. You can click on it right now. There you go. And I'm going to show you guys. He is serious about his ability to beat the price out there that you have, because I'm looking at this right now. $50 price match promise, man. You're telling everybody here that you can beat their price, or if not, if you'll give them $50, is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Just apples to apples coverage. And if you can't do it, get a quote and we'll get you something back, and we'll either pay you money or you'll know that you're getting a great deal as it is.
And you can also call them right now, 800-291-5279. 800-291-5279. There's the number right there. You can call them and pick up the phone and give Stephen and Keith, the guy who set all this up. I love that. Stephen, I am super excited about this. You are in the forefront of insurance and how we get it and how we need it and how we use it. And sometimes that's a question mark around that. So I would love to have you back and talk about insurance here, man. Who
doesn't, right? This thing that makes the world go round. But it's about helping people, and at the end of the day, it's something that people need. And just kind of making it fun and approachable and easy is all it really comes down to.
And I hope that come next winter we can talk about football with that Green Bay Packers behind you, man. You seem to be a big fan.
Hopefully better outcome maybe than Tampa Bay Bucks forever. The last couple of years when he had Brady in the playoffs and we got beat. So
yeah, I'm a Tampa fan.
Are you a Bucks fan then?
I'm a Bucks fan, and I'm also a Washington fan too as well. I've been a big Skins and Commanders fan for many years. So totally understand that. I look forward to that. Hopefully you like baseball and everything else. I'm a big Cardinal fan too as well. But I am looking forward to talking about insurance, and I know people think that's kind of not cool or whatever, but it actually is, because if I can save money, that's always a good thing. Quasar Markets Live, Stephen Guilfoile, thank you so much. CEO of Affordacare Insurance. We'll see you right back here next time.
All right. See ya. Thanks, Stephen.